and welcome to our backyard. Our backyard is great. It was perfect until a storm came and it blew down one of our trees and it landed on our neighbor's car.
That was an awkward conversation. Now the problem is that tree left a big old hole in our backyard. And I don't really care too much. I'm not a big yard kind of person. In fact, any given day there's more poop and weeds than there is green grass. That being said though, this bare spot right here is getting on my nerves. You see, I grew up working on a cucumber farm, and it was every bit as terrible as it sounds. But it did leave me with an appreciation of being able to grow and use the earth for what you needed to survive. Now, living in the city and only having a small amount of land, I never gave agriculture or growing things a second thought, until I took the family to Walt Disney World. At EPCOT, we rode a ride called Living with the Land. Nerd alert! We rode on other rides too. And it talked about all you can do with vertical gardening and growing a lot of things in a small amount of space. I was inspired.
This is the story of how Walt Disney inspired us to build a vegetable garden straight up. Straight up!
Straight up. There's a ton of videos out there on building a raised bed, so we're going to fast forward this part.
Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy living with the land. Some of our best ideas have been inspired by nature, like these fruit and vegetable trees. By growing these ground plants vertically, we can increase yields and better control diseases. These crops taste as good as they look. In fact, we serve more than 15 tons of produce from our greenhouses in restaurants here at the land every year.
Okay, now to put it together. Alright, so here we have our dirt. I unloaded it at the end of the driveway, opposite side of the yard where the garden is. That's a decision I instantly regretted. Alright, so I made the raised bed. Now it's time to go vertical. For that we have our fencing and our T-posts. This is the part where Disney World was a little skimpy on the details. So what I'm going to do is just use some regular old garden fence and T-posts to see if I can make some arches and trellises. And hopefully I can do this before the storm starts. Alright, we've gone vertical. Now let's trim these things up. Alright, as you can see, we've got these trellises off to the side. I was going to extend that one over the fence into the front yard, but I'm sure somebody in the HOA would have been like, they're doing unauthorized vertical gardening without express written consent. Well, What do they hear about the squirrels? It might actually be time to do some gardening. Now growing up, my mama always said, never plant anything before Easter. It'll always freeze again. And I didn't want to wait till the end of April to get started, so we made miniature greenhouses for inside. Easiest thing to do is just buy a container. You don't even have to take the dirt out of the bag. Cut a hole in it, cut a hole in the bottom, water it when you want to, and you've got your own natural greenhouse when you cover it. And here we are, ready to plant.
Or you can do it like this. Get a 2-liter bottle and just replant after it's sprouted. And if you save the top, you can water it and then you just cover it back up for a natural greenhouse.
I'm gonna put it next to his friend. They look just alike.
So that was a good day. We just finished up and it's starting to rain. And I'm not 100% sure my camera's waterproof. We're gonna finish this up tomorrow. See you then. We're back and it's actually been 2 days because it wouldn't stop raining. Now, let's take a look at our finished product in greater detail. Our trellises, or archways, were placed on the southern side of the garden. That way, should our crops grow both successfully and vertically, they would not block the sunlight from the tomatoes and the okra that were growing in the middle. Here we have our beans in the background of the shot, planted adjacent to the fencing. Hopefully, as time goes on, we will be able to integrate them into the fence for vertical growth. The kids really wanted to grow some watermelons, and that's what you see here. Supporting the actual melon in the fencing will be an interesting challenge, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So stay tuned, because in a few months we'll do an update to this video and show you how it all turned out. Alright, so we'd like to thank Walt Disney World for not only taking all of our money, but giving us inspiration for a vertical garden. It's like they always say, if you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. And if you teach a man to garden, well, he has vegetables with his fish.
Nobody says that.
If you learned a little bit about vertical gardening, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.
And we'll see you next week on the Homeschool Science Club.
You know, gotta move those legs to the beat. You know the beat. Gonna set you free, 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 free. Gonna set you free, 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 free. Gotta move those legs to the beat. You know, gotta move those, gotta move.